Alright everyone, Greg here from Project Unbroken, and today I'm going to be talking about how I was able to get off methadone and really do it with virtually no withdrawal. Now, I was on methadone for 6 years, and now I've been off it for 5 years. So, I've been totally clean since. I haven't used anything. I'm very happy, back to a healthy, happy lifestyle. So, I know if you're watching this, obviously you're looking into getting off methadone and getting off it, with little to no pain. And I'm going to share with you my story of how I did that. Now, I apologize for the camera I'm using. I'm just using my computer today because there's some things I want to show you on my screen. I'm outside because it's a really nice day. There's all types of critters and bees flying around shit. So if anything lands on me and I'm jumping or screeching, don't mind me. All right. So just to give you a quick background. I did pills for a couple years. Started with the perks and oxys and all that. Did that for a couple years. Transitioned into heroin. Very similar story, I'm sure, to many of you. And I used heroin for a few years. I did try using Suboxone first before methadone, but I ended up just using it as a crutch. Just kind of take my Suboxone when I couldn't use to avoid withdrawal, and that's all I ended up using Suboxone for. The last step was methadone, and when I got on methadone, I was mostly ready to quit, but I guess not fully ready because I did go back to using a couple times, but I would just try it, and then I would realize that the methadone was such a strong blocker that I wouldn't even feel it. So it was like I would do it once, then a couple weeks, maybe I'd try again, then maybe a couple months went bad, maybe I tried it one more time. So it only happened a few times where I tried to use on methadone, and I was like I'm not even getting high. Why am I even trying this? So besides those few times on methadone I didn't really use, I stayed clean throughout besides those first few months where I was experimenting, trying to get high still. Then I realized it wasn't working, so I just stopped it from there. But anyways, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up my screen because I forgot about a post I made when I was down to 1 milligram. I made a post on a forum. The forum's called drugs-forum.com, and I want to bring up that post on my screen because it'll really help you get all the details of how I got off and my progression, because I list the exact details on this post, and obviously it was 5 years ago, so back then it was way fresher in my mind. So I think going over this post with you will help you even more, and I'll kind of take you through what I'd been doing since then to improve myself even more. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump to that post, which I made when I was down to 1 milligram. And by the way, the reason I made this post is because I wanted to get my story out there and help anyone that was trying to come down, show them how I did it. But also I was scared as shit because I was down to 1 milligram and I didn't know what was going to happen. So I was looking for anyone with a similar story to see what happened when they went from 1 milligram to zero, because I was scared shitless that I was just going to start withdrawing really bad. All right. So let's jump to that post now, and we'll read through it, and I'll start getting you the details on how I was able to get off this methadone with virtually no withdrawal, very little pain. Alright, so I got this post on my screen that I made almost 5 years ago now. You can see July 2013. Now shooting this May 2013, so it's been almost 5 years. But I made this post when I was down to 1 milligram. Okay, as you can see, experiences, methadone from 105 milligrams to zero, slow taper, story in question. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put the link to this post in the YouTube video. I don't know if they allow that or not. I'm going to try it. If they don't allow it, you can just obviously just pause this video and read it if you want. But what I'm going to do is just go over the major points. I don't want to bore you or keep repeating things, so I'm just going to go over the major points and I'll talk about them when I'm done going through it. All right. So as you can see, I started taking methadone about 6 years ago. So I stayed on 105 up until about 2.5 years ago when I found out my son was on the way. All right, so when I first started, they started you on 30. My clinic started me on 30. I built my way up and I stabilized on 105. All right, so for those 3.5 years, I was pretty much on 105 the whole time, and it was stabilized at that dose. And then I found out my son was on the way, and that was pretty much my trigger where I was like, fuck this. Like, I'm not staying on this shit. He's not going to see me taking methadone and going to the methadone clinic and all that. Like I'm done. Like, my plan is to start coming down. I started making a plan at that point. All right. So the plan was come down 1 milligram a week and see how I felt. And I did that all the way until I got up to 20 milligrams. All right. Once I got on to 20 milligrams, I had to go on vacation, and they only let you take a certain amount to vacation. Something happened where I had to put a hold at 120, and it ended up being a 2-month hold by accident. It was just a miscommunication. I meant to only hold that for like an extra week from what I remember. So I didn't do that because I was uncomfortable. As you can see right here, I see no withdrawal symptoms from 105 to 20. I felt totally fine throughout. Like, I didn't even think of it. I was just coming down, and I knew that I was eventually going to get off it. So although I didn't want to be on it, I was like, you know what? I'm chipping away at it. I feel fine, so I'm just going to keep moving. And then time goes quick, as you guys know. All right. So what happened from 20 is I went down 1 milligram a week again until I hit 10 milligrams. All right. At 10 milligrams, I decided to slow it down. I think I started getting nervous. I started getting nervous that I was getting so low, and I wanted to be extra careful. So I started doing a milligram every 2 weeks once I hit 10 milligrams. All right. And I say, last week was my first week at 1 milligram. I got dosed yesterday morning 32 hours ago, and I got my 6 bottles for the weeks, but I'm not taking them. The idea behind that was I wanted to have my 1 milligrams, six of my doses for 1 milligram in case I started going through really bad withdrawals. That way I could take them and then go back to the clinic and get my next week and just kind of regroup. So that was the reason behind that. They're just on hand just in case, like as a crutch. All right. And here I talk about when some of the withdrawal symptoms started for me, like very minor though. I said ever since about 6 milligrams or so, I started getting minor withdrawals. The biggest problem has been lack of sleep. I had a little problems around 6 to 4 milligram mark, but then from 3 milligrams to now, especially now on 1 milligram, I get very little sleep, anywhere from 0 to 3 hours a night. Other symptoms are restless legs at times, usually at night, and I'll get waves of no energy every once in a while. All in all, very manageable. I think that's important because I'm in it. I'm at 1 milligram. I'm in the depth of coming off it, and I'm still saying it's very manageable. That's a really good sign, right? It's easy for me to say it now because I'm 5 years out of it, but the fact that I was saying it back then is a very good sign. And I actually say I feel like I'm getting away with murder, knowing how bad withdrawal can be. I think we can all relate to that, right? So we all know how bad it can be. You can be shaking on the floor, cold, jumping out of your skin, throwing up, shitting yourself. Obviously it can be horrible, and I'm like, man, like I cannot sleep, and I'm having a little bit of trouble sleeping, well, a good amount of trouble sleeping, a little bit of restless legs, and a little bit of no energy. Like, damn, like I'm like for real, like I'm getting away with this. I think that's what was going through my head and why I made this post, because I was like, man, can this, like, is this what's going to happen when I go to zero? Is this all I'm going to experience? So I was like, damn, like I can't believe I'm, like, it's not that bad. Sorry, told you I would jump a little bit if a bee came up on me, and that bumblebee just ran up on me. I don't know if they sting or not. Some people say they can sting. Some people say they can't. I don't know. I still don't want that thing buzzing near me. All right. Anyway, so I also say some of the things that I believe are really helping me. I started drinking a lot of water. I started working out. I started CrossFit. I started CrossFit when I was on about, I don't know, 5 to 10 milligrams, around that range. I'm eating better and taking vitamins. I really don't want to be relying on anything to make me feel normal. And of course, my son. Those are my reasons, or the kind of the things I was doing. Hope this will help some people. And I say some other stuff there. Then I say, being it's only been 50 hours since my last 1 milligram dose, and I feel just like I would on a day when I take 1 milligram in the morning. Am I counting my ducks too soon? So you can see I was pretty worried that like withdrawal is suddenly going to majorly kick in. All right, god damn this fucking bee, get that shit out of here. All right, so let's scroll down here because I make some more posts, some updates. All right, so now I'm on day 3 with no methadone. I feel decent. Again, that's good that I'm saying that 3 days off it. It's been 77 hours exactly. Biggest issue is sleep. Didn't sleep a single minute last night, but I pushed myself this morning, did a workout. Now I just have no energy. And, the no energy stuff and the, I think I talk about later that I got depressed one day. It's probably from the lack of sleep, Probably not as much from the withdrawal as from lack of sleep. So let's see. Overall, it's very manageable because I know it will get better each day. All right, so I just say that. So I think I do another update down here. All right, so it's now been 13 days since my last dose. I feel great. So, and then I give a breakdown of how it went day by day. So from day to 1 to 5, I felt pretty good. A little bit of bowel issues, it looks like. Biggest thing was lack of sleep. Slept maybe 30 minutes to an hour on average every night. So sleep wasn't very good those first few days. Day 6 was my only bad day. I got depressed, which is unusual for me, and it was just a really down all day. Day 7 to day 13, I felt great, especially the last couple days. I started sleeping a little, like 3 to 4 hours a night, and the last couple nights with no sleep aids. So what happened was on day 6, I got so tired of not sleeping well that I tried to get on Seroquel, but I took it and it didn't really help. And then the next day I felt like a zombie, so I think I tried it once or twice and I didn't do it at all anymore, which I explain here. I think I tried smoking weed one night, that didn't really help me, so I didn't do that again. And I say honestly, the biggest thing for me has been staying busy. Working out, eating right, that type of stuff. All right, so at day 13, I feel extremely clear-headed and great. Only lingering withdrawals is sleeping is still low, a little fatigue at times, which is probably from not sleeping, and then very mild restless legs. Honestly, I'm so happy with how things are going. None of it bothers me. So there you go. 13 days in, I was doing very well. Let me see if I have any more updates. Let's see. All right, here we go. Just an update as I've got a few messages over the last few months. Still clean over 4 years later. Oh, so I just did this post a year ago, and I remember everything through that. So there's my my come down from how I went from 105 to getting off it with very little pain. Look, sleep issues, a little bit of restless legs and fatigue, I'm okay with compared to normal withdrawal. So what I'm going to do is switch back to my camera and kind of talk about more things of what I think went into getting off it successfully. All right, so I know a lot of people don't want to take 2.5 years to get off methadone. So I'm going to share with you a few things that I think I probably would change if I went through it again, or just a few things that I'm aware of. So the first thing is, it took 2.5 years. I probably could have done it in a year. Especially at the higher dose. I probably could have came down 5 milligrams a week for a while, maybe till I hit 50, 40, 30 range even. So what I would do if I went back is came down 5 milligrams a week and then kept going until I maybe started feeling a little bit of withdrawal, and then I would have stopped and stabilized there for a few weeks. At that point, I would have tried to come down 2 to 3 milligrams a week depending on where I was, and then again stop if I start feeling uncomfortable, then move to 1 milligram a week. So I think coming down 1 milligram a week was too slow, but in the end it worked, And the one thing that it did for me that's really positive, and the one thing that I like about the slow taper, is that it gets you away from the life. You know what I mean? Like, my first few months, even like my first 6 months being on methadone, I was still really around the same type of people. Like I was still living the same type of lifestyle. And the longer I was on methadone and kind of like away from the drugs, the heroin, and everything else, the more I got used to living without those things in my life, So the cool thing about a slow taper is it gives you a time away from that life. So by the time you get to the low dose to where you're ready to come off, you shouldn't have those negative influences in your life anymore, because if you do, you're most likely still messing around. So those people should be out of your life by then. And let me tell you something: if you still got people around you that are using and you're trying to quit, you're fucked. All right, it's not going to work. I tried it over and over. Me and Matt, we were best friends for years. He had to separate himself from me, his best friend of 10 years, because we kept pulling each other back in. So that's a side note. If you have people around you that are using, you're fucked. All right, you're probably not going to quit. Chances are slim to none. You have to get rid of those people, no matter who it is, or it's just probably not going to work. So the good thing again with being on the slow taper, not only do you experience little to no pain, but you start distancing yourselves from that life. So a good 2 years I had under my belt being away from that life. So by the time I came off it, those people were nowhere around me. I had no numbers to call for heroin. I didn't even know where to get it anymore. Of course I could have went to the corner and all that, but that's pretty drastic after not being around for 2 years to go to a corner and pick up. You know what I mean? It's just a different circumstance than having a connection. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, that's what I really like about the slow taper, is just getting yourself away from that life. And by the time you come off, you put in so much fucking work that you're like, there's no way I'm turning back now. You set your plan in place. You've worked at it for years. You're at the end of the line here. You got a little bit of speed bumps there with the little sleep, for me at least, the little sleep and restless legs. Once you get over that, it was like I took off, man. I remember after a couple weeks to a month, it was like I started feeling back to normal. I was like, man, I feel great. I remember after a month thinking that, like, I feel so good, but I just kept feeling better and better. But the big thing is, I kept working out. I kept trying to eat right. I kept trying to learn about, eating right, nutrition and what I should be eating and shouldn't be eating. But I constantly kept trying to improve. I started meeting new people and establishing new friendships with positive people, that type of thing. But, coming off, really, it wasn't that bad. As you see, I made in my post that I showed you on my screen, a little bit of no sleep and restless legs. Fucking, I'll go through that any day, and the people who try to just hop off it, I know that you want to get off it now. and you just want to be done with it, but there's a lot of negatives to that. You're going to go through some serious pain. You haven't distanced yourself from that life. You haven't taken a break from it, so your chances of succeeding really go down. So there's a high chance you can go through all that horrible withdrawal and then go right back into that lifestyle. All right, so that's my story with how I made how I got off methadone and how I did it with little to no pain. And in my opinion, that's just the best way to do it, not just to feel comfortable, but for long-term success. All right. So hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Hopefully it helps you. Please leave a comment below. Let me know if it helped you. Anytime we get comments from people telling us that our content helped them, it makes us want to do more of these. So let me know that. Comment and let me know what else you want me to shoot on or what else you want to know anything about. All right. I'll talk to you all soon.